Have you ever thought about what makes one moment of closeness a wonderful symphony of connection, and another an experience that leaves scars that you can't see? This video goes into excellent detail about the words of an old woman whose teachings help us understand love, vulnerability, and trust in relationships. These teachings reveal deep truths about how emotions and the body interact, how a woman's body and soul react to closeness, and the sacred trust that shapes these connections. Stay with us as we figure out what she taught us. Learn about the tricky balance between trust and respect, and find out how to make your relationship stronger and more satisfying. At the end of this movie, you will gain transformational insights that could transform your approach to intimacy and connection for the rest of your life. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button to receive notifications. Sign up for our newsletter to get all of our new material. I'm excited to hear what you think about today's topic. If you like it, please leave a comment. If not, please leave a 0. Your feedback is essential to me because it helps me make better videos that fit your interests. Let's get started, but before we do, I want you to understand something profound and crucial. The old woman's voice was steady at first, but it had a softness to it that made people pay attention. A woman's body serves as more than just a physical form. It is a musical composition of emotions. When she chooses to surrender herself in this kind of union, her sensations and instincts respond in deeply intricate, almost magical ways. This surrender is sacred, an offering of trust and vulnerability, and her responses, both physical and emotional, can be either a radiant gift or a heavy burden, depending entirely on the connection she shares with her partner and the environment in which this union unfolds. She paused, her eyes sweeping across the room, catching the hesitant gaze of a young man who looked as though a burning question sat on the tip of his tongue before he could interrupt. She continued, her voice growing softer but more insistent physically. She explained, "A woman's body is like a flowing river constantly adapting to the currents of emotions and sensations. When she feels safe, cherished, and truly seen, her body blossoms, her brain releases a cascade of life-affirming chemicals like oxytocin, often called the love hormone. This remarkable substance strengthens her emotional bond with her partner, enveloping her in a cocoon of trust and well-being. It allows her to feel grounded and whole, as though her body and soul are in perfect harmony." But her voice dropped, tinged with solemnity, if that surrender occurs in an atmosphere of doubt, insecurity, or coercion. Her body reacts differently. The river stops flowing freely. Tension builds, and her body may resist tightening in ways that can be both physically and emotionally painful, leaving her feeling fragmented. A young woman in the back of the room paused before raising her hand. Her voice was soft but steady. She asked what would happen if the woman didn't trust her partner, or if she wasn't sure about the situation. The older woman shook her head slightly, and her eyes got soft, as if she were carrying the weight of many such questions. She said with a faint smile, "There are questions in her heart." You see, when a woman doesn't feel completely safe, when she can't trust her partner with her heart or her body, her whole being shifts into a state of self-preservation. This isn't something she chooses. It's her body's way of protecting her from possible harm. Her nerve endings, those beautifully sensitive pathways designed for pleasure and connection, may instead react with discomfort or even pain, her brain sensing the disconnect. Cortisol, the stress hormone that directly counteracts the calming effects of oxytocin, may be released. Instead of peace, there is restlessness. Instead of intimacy, she experiences an enduring unease and an unexplainable dissatisfaction that can settle into her bones, lasting much longer than the moment itself. He leaned forward, his voice both interested and worried, and asked, "And what happens after?" How does she feel, emotionally, once it's all over? The old woman looked thoughtfully, and her voice was heavy with unsaid stories. Emotionally, she began by emphasizing that a woman who has surrendered without feeling safe can bear invisible scars. Her heart may ache from a sense of betrayal, not from her partner, but from her own body, which she may perceive as having let her down. She might experience a sense of deprivation, as though someone had stolen something precious from her. When a woman goes through something like this, it can be challenging for her to trust again. But women are strong, and if she feels heard, understood and supported, she can start to heal. But it takes time, patience, and a partner who truly respects her vulnerability. She stopped talking and let the words hang in the air, letting their weight settle in the hearts of those listening. The room was silent except for the faint sound of breathing as everyone took in the depth of what she had said. The older woman's gaze softened as she turned to the young man. Her words showed that she understood and had the experience of many years. Her soft voice resonated deeply as she spoke, each word carefully chosen to touch the hearts of those listening. She started with a steady tone that felt almost maternal. When a woman shares herself in such an intimate way, she opens not only her body but also the deepest parts of her soul. This act is a declaration of trust, vulnerability, and connection. The experience that follows can either make her feel fulfilled, loved, and understood, or it can drain her. The emotional thread that runs through that moment differentiates between being hollow and detached. She looked around the room to ensure her words resonated with the people present, whether they were filled with love and respect or filled with doubt and neglect. She continued, "Shared with someone who values her essence, the experience becomes positive. Her mind and body are in sync. Her brain releases powerful chemicals such as oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which deepens her sense of connection and strengthens the emotional bridge between her and her partner. This can instill in her a sense of love and wholeness, validating all her feelings. Her body remembers these moments of love and safety, holding on to them as treasured memories she can carry with her." Her tone of voice changed a little to show sadness as her face became more serious, but she said in a soft voice that if there is an emotional disconnect and she feels unappreciated or like her vulnerability is taken for granted, the experience can have the opposite effect of what she wants it to. Instead of feeling fulfilled, she may feel like a piece of her has been lost or stolen. That kind of emptiness doesn't just stay in the heart, it can seep into the body as well, leaving her feeling worn out and maybe even having physical pains or discomforts she can't quite explain. Carries the weight of unspoken emotion. At this moment, a young woman sitting near the front hesitated before raising her hand. Her eyes were filled with tears, and her voice was slightly trembling, but her question carried the weight of countless untold stories. How can a woman keep herself from feeling those bad emotions? How can she avoid that emptiness? The old woman let out a deep sigh, and her shoulders moved up and down as if she were carrying the weight of the whole room. Her eyes softened as she looked at the young woman with a mix of sympathy and determination. "My dear," she started, voice steady and lovely, "the first step is to determine your worth." The room fell silent as her words lingered in the air. The elderly woman continued, her voice now tinged with an urgency that made her audience lean closer. "But self-respect alone is not enough," she said. "A woman must also learn to listen to her body, for the body is a truth-teller. It speaks to us through sensations, through whispers of intuition. If something feels wrong, even if she cannot articulate why, there is always a reason. Her body is never wrong. It is her most faithful intimacy should not be a source of pain for her, but of joy. The older woman's tone softened as she gave her last piece of advice. "Lastly, my dear," she said, "communication is essential. A woman must be able to tell her partner about her feelings, needs, and boundaries. She cannot assume that her partner will know these things automatically. Understanding is the foundation of love and respect, and open and honest dialogue fosters this understanding. When a woman feels safe enough to speak her truth, she makes room for her partner to do the same. Together, they can build a relationship based on trust, where intimacy becomes a source of joy." There was a glimmer of hope in the young woman's eyes as she nodded. The room was silent, and the air was heavy with the weight of the old woman's words. Everyone appeared engrossed in their own reflections, contemplating the truths presented before them. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please leave a comment below, number 1, to let me know you are still watching it. The old woman's voice dropped to almost a whisper as she said, "Protecting yourself from pain doesn't mean avoiding love or being vulnerable. It means going into those places with self-respect and wisdom. It means treating your body and emotions with respect and never settling for less than what you deserve. By doing this, you safeguard yourself and create opportunities for transformative, uplifting, and deeply satisfying experiences." Her words hung in the air like a soft melody, resonating in everyone's hearts as if she had given them not only advice but also a piece of her soul. Another young man, his face thoughtful and eyes showing a mix of interest and worry, hesitantly leaned forward and asked, "What can we men do to be better partners?" It broke into a soft smile on the old woman's face. Her eyes, brimming with gratitude and warmth, revealed that this question resonated deeply within her. It was a question she had longed for more young men to ask. She took a deep breath and spoke with a voice that was calm but full of deep conviction. "The first and most important thing you can do is learn to listen with your whole heart, not just your ears. Even when a woman doesn't utter a single word, her body and energy convey a wealth of information. These non-verbal cues communicate with you in ways that words could never express. If you want to be a better partner, you need to learn to read these tiny signs." She stopped and looked around the group to make sure that what she had to say hit home with everyone. She continued by comparing a woman's body to an instrument, emphasizing that the way we treat it influences its sound. If she feels safe, respected, and valued, her whole being will respond with harmony and openness. But if she senses disrespect, impatience, or insincerity, her body may close off her heart, retreating behind walls of self-preservation. Pay attention to these reactions. They are her truth, her way of expressing herself. Her softer voice and slight leaning forward brought them closer together with the intimacy of her words. When you are with a woman, be fully present. Don't let your mind wander to expectations or judgments. Let go of the idea that intimacy must be perfect or performative. Intimacy is not about achieving some ideal. It's about making a connection so deep and real that both of you feel uplifted and seen. Be patient, young men. Some moments may not unfold the way you imagined, and that's okay. True intimacy is not a race or a transaction. It's a journey that requires trust, vulnerability, and a willingness to grow together. Her face turned more serious, and her voice had a strong but quiet sense of urgency. Making a woman feel safe, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, is the best gift you can give her. When she feels safe, she can relax and be authentic with you, which is the beginning of true intimacy. It's not big actions or flawless execution that show her that you care. It's the little things you do every day that show her that you treat her like an equal and respect her boundaries. It got quiet in the room. The young guys felt the strength of her words in their hearts. After a brief silence, she continued, her tone shifting to one of compassion. You see, intimacy is not just a physical act. It is a language, a sacred exchange of vulnerability and trust. It is the bridge that connects two souls, allowing them to meet in their truest forms. Crossing this bridge with love, respect and care transforms it into a source of immense joy, healing and growth for both parties involved. She paused, allowing the significance of her words to sink in, then continued with her voice, now tinged with a faint sadness, emphasizing that approaching intimacy carelessly or without thought can leave behind wounds, deep, invisible scars that linger far longer than anyone realizes, impacting future relationships, trust, and self-worth. Every moment shared with another person leaves a mark. Make sure the marks you leave are ones of love, understanding, and kindness, not pain. She spoke in a soft, almost whispered voice as she gave her last piece of advice on how to be a better partner. Keep in mind that demonstrating respect extends beyond your actions, encompassing your thoughts, emotions, and your treatment of your partner during times of vulnerability. Show her how much you care and love her through your actions, and remember that being kind is your best quality. Show it not only in big ways, but also in small ways, like how you listen, touch, talk, and make her feel when you're with her. As the sun went down, it filled the room with a warm golden glow. The group stayed quiet, as if each person was carefully putting the elder's words into the depths of their own hearts. The old woman looked at the setting sun and smiled softly. Her voice carried the soft weight of a final truth. Young people, every choice you make in your relationships leaves a mark, not only on the person you share your soul with, but also on your own. Choose to leave marks of love, not regret. You should be the kind of partner who builds trust and closeness that lasts through the winds of time as you go through this journey. To be there for someone, respect them, and care for them no matter what is the best you can do. As the last rays of sunlight left the room, the soft colors of twilight washed over it. The elder's words seemed to linger in the air, giving each person a lantern with a flame to guide them through the complicated and often difficult world of love and human connection. The room was no longer quiet, but full of the quiet hum of reflection and the unspoken promise of change. What did you learn from the wise words in this video? Is there one piece of advice or insight that really hit home for you? Let us know in the comments below. What's one thing you'll do differently in your own life? If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. With your help, we can keep giving you stories and lessons that will touch your heart and help you grow as a person. We appreciate your time and hope you continue to enjoy our content.